Hello, hello. Attempt number two. Let's go. It's Instagram is gonna fire off this time. I closed the wrong window, and that's what happens. Technology. We're gonna go live on Instagram. All right. Well, sorry about that, everyone. And we are here, and we are live, and we are ready to rock and roll it with the one and only Peri, who is the founder of the Betty Rocker. We've known each other for a very long time. Hi there. I can't believe that we are doing this together for perimenopause, and we are both in perimenopause.
I know. It's so cool. It's so cool to get to not only, kind of go through this with you, but also to share it with so many other women, because I feel like this conversation has not been a loud conversation in the past, and we need to all be aware of it and talk about it and help each other with it so that women will know what to expect.
Absolutely. So we sent out an email. If you're not on our mailing list, then we're gonna do a workout today actually together. So grab some weighted objects, something to elevate its surface, and then Bree's gonna guide us through it. So we're gonna just wait for like maybe 5 to 7 minutes more for more folks to show up. And in the meantime, I just want to share with you like a little bit of a personal perspective of what made me realize and what was like the bells going off that made me realize that my previous form of exercise wasn't particularly good for me at that stage. I'm 51 years old right now, and my entire life I've been a huge runner. Oh, I was a big runner, right? And so a big cardio junkie. Even when I used to competitively ski, it was always like it was a lot more cardio than even our trainers were paying attention to strength. And maybe it was because it was a girls thing. I don't know. But the point is that, being a cardio junkie for so many years, even after I had my hips done, because of an injury at birth, and that just didn't make things better. And I started realizing the aha moment for me was that when I started feeling tired after my workouts, like I needed a shot of espresso after going to the gym or going for a run, and instead of feeling energized, I was actually feeling zapped out. And that's one of the things that happens with our cortisol regulation or dysregulation as we enter perimenopause. We just don't bounce back the same way. And that causes more inflammation. And for those of you who follow us for a while, you know that perimenopause instantly equals inflammation. I shared my labs with you guys just a few days ago, how my inflammatory markers have gone up during perimenopause, right? So with that needs to be an adjustment of how much cardio we do versus weight training. But the other thing is, you want to talk a little bit more about that Brie, like the muscle loss that we're experiencing as our estrogen goes down is pretty horrendous.
Do you ever think like that perimenopause is almost like this extended version of PMS? Like it's just like all the things that happen before you get your period and all the ways that you feel, you end up like getting this like long drawn out, like extended, unexpected, just soup of feelings and symptoms, I feel like. So yeah, I can relate to that. But it is interesting because as those circulating and even like levels of estrogen and progesterone start to diminish, that really impacts so many systems in our body. Like you mentioned, the inflammatory response. And if we think about a workout, whatever type of workout you're doing, it creates an inflammatory response. And something I'm always saying is that exercise is a healthy stress when we ourselves are healthy. And so one of the things that happens when we're a little younger and we have those higher levels of cycling hormones is we have a little bit more resilience, a little bit more bounce back, even if we're sort of like pounding ourselves into the ground with a lot of cardio or a lot of workouts of any type, right? But it's when we make that transition and our hormone levels start to go down that we don't have as fast of that bounce back, that we don't have as quick of that recovery period. And so what we want to do is actually just start to be more strategic and smarter about the sequencing with which we train. And today we're going to utilize some of the most important types of training that you want to think about, and some will surprise you. But really, a lot of it comes down to mindfully using your energy correctly so that you can push hard and really get everything out of the workouts you do and then recover effectively so that that inflammatory response has time to go down.
Yeah.
And right. So like that's what we're talking about.
Huge. And for those of you who are joining us live, and let us know whether it's through Instagram or Facebook or YouTube you're watching, what is your current workout like? And maybe you don't have a workout, and that's totally fine too. There is a time when you just feel so demotivated and so unencouraged by your current status of mind, and including when your hormones start tanking. Like motivation is one of the big things that drops. The cool thing is that once you get into a gentle exercise, everything starts changing in the body too. So we want to show you some simple things today. We are also going to be talking about Bree's Betty Rockers. So Bree is the real name of Betty Rocker, the brand. Betty Rockers program that is specifically for women in perimenopause. And I've been doing it for the past 3 months and I love it.
And you're kicking butt. You're doing great.
Yeah, thank you. And so, it's I feel like it's super helpful to have a plan. The workouts are done for you. They build on top of each other. It's not just a random bunch of exercises put together, right? There is recovery period for it, which is great. Everything is done for you. Before that, I used to go to YouTube and create my own kind of versions of stuff. And I felt like I was spending 15 minutes of just fiddling around with different videos. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And so such a blessing that you have put this program together. And I feel like there is no better person to do a program for women in perimenopause and menopause, because it's the same principle of having to rest and recover.
Yep.
Than a woman who's going through it herself. I don't want to do a workout through a dude.
I get it.
Neither am I interested in following somebody who's 22 years old, like the meme that I posted the other day, right?
No, it's a lot to be said for having somebody who's experiencing it and doing the work and the research. I mean, when I wanted to create a prenatal program, I had one of my girls who had just had a baby help me create that because she had actually gone through that. So I think there is a lot to be said for that specificity with what you're getting from a trainer, though, lots of people have a lot of different things to offer, but I'm so glad to have this to offer you guys and to really be experiencing it myself, because I really understand. And I also have benefited so much from all the things I learned from you, Magdalena. Like, it's been so fun to do this collab together because you have so much to offer. I use her recipes all the time. I love them so much. And your supplements are amazing. We recommend them to my audience all the time as well. So there's a lot of synergy, and we both have vans. We're both we have a lot in common.
Yeah. And so totally. Okay. So are we ready to jump in? And I know there's some questions coming in on Instagram. So thank you for those of you sharing what you're doing currently. So we're gonna, let's push this out later after the workout. How long do you think we're gonna work out together, Bree?
Well, we're probably gonna spend a good 30 minutes here together, maybe a little more.
Okay.
That sound good?
Yeah,
total. All in. Once we start, maybe a little more. But before we start, I do see one really common question that I want to address. If you are postmenopausal and you've joined us, yes, this is exactly what you're building a base in perimenopause that you are going to set yourself up perfectly for postmenopause. So everything we're going to talk about today can also apply to you. I would probably have more conversations with you specifically, but this is the type of training. So you're in the right place if you came and you're wondering if you can do this. Yes, you can.
And you know what? I will say one other thing before we start is that I feel like strong is the new sexy, or strong is like the new skinny. That's what it is. The strong is the new skinny. Like skinny women, I don't think is sexy and attractive anymore. It's the strong women. And I find it so much more appealing just for myself. Like I'm feeling much more attractive to myself. Like I don't care about everybody else. To myself. The fact that I can be around my van and lifting things up, right? And I'm and people go whoa, you're so strong. And I'm I feel strong, and it feels so good to be that way.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot too. I understand it's like this. I feel like perimenopause is this really important transition, like this gateway we walk through as women, where it's not just about the changes our bodies are going through. We're also going through these changes in our mind about ourselves and our identity, right? And there is some letting go of the BS of what other people think of us. And maybe we're letting go of some of our own kind of hyped up expectations of how we're supposed to be all the time. So, I like that.
So let's jump in. For those who are working out with us, tell us, Bree, what are we supposed to gather together for the workout today?
Well, so thank you so much for coming. And for those of you who have some home workout equipment like dumbbells, you can grab some dumbbells. Make sure you have some space to move. If you don't have any dumbbells, don't worry. Maybe you've got some water bottles around. Just use what you've got. It's all good. And if you happen to be working out in a home gym or you have access to barbells, that's great too. You probably know a lot about what to do. But one of the things I promised you at the beginning was that a surprising thing that you need to add to your workouts in perimenopause and again in postmenopause is the self-care around your workouts. As we start to lose that collagen and elastin, we need to take a little bit more mindful care of our bodies. So let's step our feet out nice and wide to the outside of our mat and just come into some nice wide body squats. You can let your toes duck out a little bit and just make sure your back stays nice and straight as you sink your butt down and then come on back up. As you do this, I want you to just notice that your core is going to be engaged, as in braced, as if for a punch. That's going to help you stay a little more upright. Check in with the balance between both of your feet. And we're just warming up here. We're just like letting our body have a moment to like get into some moves. Now let's go ahead and step to the center of our mat. And if you'd like, you could hold on to a chair or wall beside you. We'll just step back into a reverse lunge on one side and then the other. And if you find lunges a little bit challenging, I really do encourage you to hold on to a chair to help you stay upright. A lot of the times the difficulty in lunges comes from a little bit of misalignment over the knee coming down through the ankle. And sometimes that can be from pelvic misalignment from maybe having kids or having a single side dominance, which is really common. So work with your body. You don't have to sink all the way down. Maybe you could do a shallow reverse squat. And we're just getting the body warm here, just testing stuff out. So give me a couple more like that and then stand in the center of your mat. We're going to warm up our back and open our chest. Really important, protecting the rotator cuff here. So go ahead and turn your thumbs behind you and just go ahead and do some little pulses as you open your chest. Open it up. One thing I find really common, really as we get into our 40s, is a lot more people start to struggle with shoulder pain. And I think that's because over the years, we're in these sort of rounded forward positions. And we have to start really thinking about working our posterior chain and really training that back. So we're just opening that up here. And let's just do some big, nice arm circles, warming up the shoulder joint, getting that synovial fluid in there flowing. You just want to make sure that everything is ready to go. Just do some dynamic swings and then turn that into some swings side to side. Nice. And then we're just going to come down and do one last quick little movement. So join me in tabletop, knees stacked below your hips, hands stacked below your shoulders. Go ahead and lift your hips up into a downward facing dog. Press your hips back, feeling that stretch through your hamstring. And then we're going to step our left foot to the outside of our left hand, dropping our right knee down. And then we're just going to circle that left arm behind us as we look over our left shoulder. Just a quick stretch here to open up the back. Bring your left palm back down to the inside of your left foot. Curl your right toe under. Step it back, down dog. And we're just going to step our right foot to the outside of our right hand, dropping the back left knee down, circling that right arm back behind you in this nice supported position as you look over your right shoulder briefly. And then circle it back to the inside of your right foot. Come on back into that down dog position. Drop your knees back down to tabletop. Nice job. You have given your body a little warm up, and that's really, really important as we start to, lose, like I was saying, some of that collagen and elastin. We're going to get into a quick explosive cardio blast. Now, one of the things that Magdalena and I both talk about a lot is how important it is not to overdo it on the cardio, right? And I think that you can be like, well, I want to do cardio. I need to do more workouts because if I'm starting to see my body composition change, I'm starting to see more body fat. Well, I probably need to do more workouts. But remember what we said right at the beginning of this, how a workout creates that inflammatory response, and too much cardio can bump up your cortisol a little bit too much in perimenopause because we don't have the buffering of impact of the progesterone. We don't have the bounce back that comes from the estrogen. So what we want to do is do fun, quick, explosive cardio. You could either do sprints, you could do plyometrics like we're going to do right now for about 4 minutes. We're going to start with a body weight jump squat. And all that is loading your weight. You can do a couple with me right now, just like this. Just get into it, check it out. And then we're going to transition into a squat thrust where you'll come down, jump back, jump in, and jump up. And I'll show you mods as we go. But I'm just going to start, and we're going to come right into that same nice wide squat base. And then you're going to jump in the air and land lightly. Now, if this is a little too much jumping for you, you can do a low impact version and still get a lot of cardio with what we call a full body extension. You're just dropping your hands down in front of you and sweeping them up in the air, right? So you can take the impact out and still get a great cardio blast that way. Now, why do we want to load these joints? Oh, coming up. Last quick breather. You have just a few seconds here to recover, and then we're going to go into our squat thrust. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Plant your hands below your shoulders. You can step or jump out. Then you're going to step or jump in. Come on up into a body squat and come right back down. Jump out, jump in, jump up, or step out, step in, step up. So both of these options are going to give you just a fabulous cardio burn. Doing great. You're not here for much longer. Keep up the awesome work, rock stars. Great job. Last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to take a breather. Getting that heart rate up. Awesome job. Ooh. Catch your breath. Remember, you can take the low impact version anytime. And we're going to go back into just the jump squats. Now, if you found that the squat thrust is a little too much, you could just also stick with the jump squats. But we're going to start again. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Power it up. Power it down. Nice. Land lightly. Make sure your knees are tracking in alignment with your toes. And just like we did in that warm up, I want you to really think about loading the weight, keeping your back straight, keeping your core braced. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And remember, you can switch between the low impact and the high impact anytime. We're going to take a nice breather and do a second set of squat thrusts. Whew. With those squat thrusts, don't be afraid to do the low impact. Remember, it's all or something, not all or nothing. And we just want to stimulate the body so it gets that little response. Come on down, plant your hands, step or jump your feet back, step or jump your feet forward, and power it up. Come on back down, come on forward, come on up. You don't have to rush. Go as hard as you can today. One of the things in perimenopause, of course, is that our energy ebbs and flows. So the nice thing about these little fast blast cardio sessions is you're in control. Let's take a break. You're in control. You don't have to add in the cardio piece on a day you have lower energy. You can add it on the days you have more energy and really push for it, but you're in control. All right, jump squats. This is it, coming up on the finish line for our cardio piece. You're doing great. Keep that core braced, land lightly. As you come down, remember, you can do a couple low impact as you need to. Want to catch your breath maybe, or just want to take a little bit of a break. Great job. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Quick breather. And last set of squat thrusts. You're doing awesome. So rather than a long, slow distance, rather than lots and lots of cardio, this quick hit of cardio, it's going to give me everything I need. Down, here we go. Starting again, squat thrusts. In and out. Now, if you find that it is not comfortable to be down on the floor with your hands down, you can brace your hands against the side of your couch or a chair. And whatever position you're in that plank, make sure you keep a nice flat back, braced core, And keep your breath going, as in don't forget to breathe. Last 3, 2, 1, done. You finished. You did awesome. How'd you feel, Magdalena?
Yeah, good. I'm very impressed that you can talk and do this.
Yeah, years of conditioning is what happens. And I'm also, just like you, I'm slowing it down as I go. I don't go super hard the entire time. So we're going to take a quick breather, but we're now really, what I like about adding that dynamic explosive cardio blast before we do our resistance training is our body is now so warmed up. It's ready. It's really ready to go.
Yeah, and you know what, just as you are catching your breath and having a drink, I also want to say that one of the things I really appreciate about your program as I'm going through it is that, I spent a long time working with personal trainers, so I can self-monitor to some degree. I'm sure I'm making mistakes and I see them on camera, for example, but, versus someone who's never done it before, I really appreciate the feedback. Not the feedback, but the instruction for people to keep a good form so they don't hurt themselves, they do it in the right way, they get the maximum workout of the right way.
That's so important, you guys, when you're choosing a trainer. So my background is anatomy and kinesiology. I was a structural integrationist for years before becoming a trainer. So a lot of how I write programming and how I teach comes very much from how I can help you get more aligned in your body, as well as getting a beautiful aesthetic result. So are you ready, Magdalena, to move on? Okay. So we got a circuit with 4 moves, and you're going to need your assorted weighted objects, but of course, any weighted objects will do just fine. We're going to start with a sumo squat, and I love this squat because it's going to give you a really solid base. We warmed up with it, right? So if you would like to find some weighted objects, and if you're comfortable, I'm going to suggest an 8 to 12 rep range, and that's going to help you calibrate how much resistance to choose. So one of the things in perimenopause is we want to get a little more specific with how challenging we make our workouts for ourselves. So rather than just doing like 15 to 20 reps all the time with lighter weights, we want to start using heavier equipment to help us build strength, because the body's going to adapt to the stimulus we give it. So I'm going to put my weights up on my shoulders and I'm going to step out nice and wide. And when I say 8 to 12 reps, that means it's very hard to go past 12 reps. So send your hips back, keep your core braced, load that weight as you drive back up. You can almost think about pressing the earth away from you as you come up in any kind of squat. And I want you to stay very nice and straight in your back as you come up and down. Don't arch your back, don't round your back. Knees track in alignment with toes. Now, what's really common is people are like, well, geez, I just am realizing that I don't have any weights that are heavy enough for me to stay below 12 reps. If that's you, don't worry. You don't have to go out and buy something immediately, although you may eventually want to invest in something. You could add a couple of micro pulses at the base of your squat before coming up, as long as you don't lose your form and your core engagement. So just really engage your glutes on the way up. And your rep range might be a little different than mine, right? You might stop before me. You might stop after me. What I really want you to get out of this is that your reps should really challenge you, right? That's how you select the amount of resistance. So I'm starting in an 8 to 12 rep range, and I'm going to take a breather. You catch up. Don't worry if you are still going, go to your fatigue point. And if you're like, I have to do more than 12 reps today because I don't have anything to stop me, just do more. Go to your fatigue point. It's good. You've got this. You just want to fatigue your body so you get that adaptive response, because then we're going to rest and recover, right? And then we're going to reap the reward of our training without piling more training stress on top of what we're doing today, so that our body can never recover and we never get results. That's not how we build muscle, piling and piling and piling on. We go hard, we back off. We go hard, we back off. And we also have some ebb and flow, listening to our body as we go, just like we talked about in the fast cardio. Move number 2, we're going to target some more of that posterior chain, helping to protect your rotator cuff. So this is going to be a back pull row. So you're going to grab a couple weighted objects and you're going to pull them back, driving your elbows back behind you. Now, if you can for a moment, I want you to just feel the muscles between your shoulder blades engage, right? I don't want you to be using your arms for this. The movement initiated between your shoulder blades. So once you feel those muscles, you've kind of told your brain what you want it to do, and you'll get even more effective reps. So grab some weighted objects. Once again, try to be in an 8 to 12 rep range. In the beginning, the first set I usually try to be up closer to the top of the rep range I'm working in. So I'd like to be up in like maybe 10 or 12 reps with my weight choice. And then maybe I'll challenge myself further as we go. So first, bring those shoulders back and down, brace that core, straight back, drive the elbows back together. You got this. Now, one thing, you don't want the weight to be so heavy that you're like, oh, jerking it around. It should be a smooth, controlled pull back. You got it? Nice. Beautiful work. Here's another one where if your weight is too light and you're just like, oh, I'm not going to be able to stop myself at 12. It's going to be too easy. You can hold with a little micro pause at the top of your rep. This is going to create a little more time under tension for you and really help you get more muscle fiber recruitment, even with lighter weights. Don't let your back arch. Don't let your shoulders come out of that braced position. Don't let them round forward. And when you get to the top of your rep range, which could be before or after me and Magdalena, go ahead and bend your knees to safely set your equipment down. Don't round your back, even if it's light. You want to build good habits. We're going to take a little breather. Your moves should be challenging enough where you literally need to take a break in between them, right? This is going to give you that effective stimulus for your muscle tissue. So I'll let you know what move number 3 is. Reverse lunges. We practiced these at the beginning. Now, a couple of quick tips. If you do struggle with lunges at all, hold on to something next to you, hold a single weighted object, and work on one side at a time, holding the weight in one hand. Or if it really isn't feel good to have any additional weight at all, just do them body weight style, okay? But if you are comfortable, you can select some weighted objects and hold them in both hands. You could hold them up on your shoulders. You could even have a barbell if you're comfortable. And at that point, so 8 to 12 reps on each leg. And I'm gonna go one side fully and then the other. So step it back, sink it down. And here's one of my secrets for great form with any type of lunge. Hey, we're all queens here, right? So put your crown on and don't let it fall off as you're doing your lunges. So if you picture that, you picture how your body really does need to stay very stable and stationary, how you're not bending forward at any point in your lunge. Your front toes are very light. You don't have a lot of weight on them. You've got a nice even distribution across your entire foot base. And when you get to the top of your rep range on that first side, you're going to switch to the other side and even out your reps. Nice job. As your back knee sinks towards the ground, it doesn't have to go all the way down. It doesn't even have to touch. But if it does touch, it should touch like a kiss. It shouldn't smack down. So use control as you're sinking down. It's okay if your step back is a little bigger than mine. We may have different body proportions. Very likely I'm 5 feet tall. So your step back may look wider or even narrower than me, and that's okay as long as you feel stable and secure. Be sure to bend your knees to safely set down your weighted objects when you get to the top of your rep range on both sides. And if you were following along with one of my programs and we were doing progressive overload, I'd have you track your weight and your reps so that when you saw the workout again, you could see where you left off and continue to build as you progress. Now, our final move in this circuit is a biceps curl. Such a great move, very practical. We use our biceps for so many things every single day. And the biceps, of course, attach to the front of our shoulder. So a good workout program is going to have the opposing muscle groups being trained at a different day, right? So in another day, if I were writing you this program, you'd be training your triceps. We'd be training our hamstrings to complement our lunges and a lot of the quad exercises that we did. We'd be training all of the different body parts and being very thoughtful and very mindful about how we did this whole body programming. So for your biceps curls, go ahead and grab some weighted objects that you feel would put you in that 8 to 12 rep range. And once again, we're going to bring our shoulders gently back and down to put them into their sockets so that they're not starting out rounded, which is especially important in the biceps curl. Shoulders back, core braced, palms face forward. And from here, I'm going to make sure my elbows stay in close to my hips as I curl straight up, and then I lower down with control. Here's another hot tip for those of you who are like, darn it, I don't have heavy enough weights for this. You can also try something called an eccentric curl, which is where we slowly lower down as we come down. What we're doing by default is called a concentric curl, and that's where the origin and insertion head of the muscle come closer together. An eccentric curl is when the origin and insertion points of the muscle go farther apart. It's very challenging. With your bicep curl, really work on keeping those shoulders back. Don't let them round forward. Because of where that biceps head attaches underneath your shoulder, rounding your shoulder forward is going to pinch the tendon, and that's not going to feel good. This is another reason it's so important to have balance training where you're working both sides of the body. You're getting plenty of back strength, because so many of us overuse the front side of our body inadvertently just by default because we see it in front of us all day, right? We're working with our hands. So we want to think about training the back and really maybe thinking about what we do with our repetitive motion types of activities. We're going to go back to the top and do another set of sumo squats. Make sure you take a quick breather, that you're feeling good. I'm drinking essential amino acids with creatine and collagen. And I've got a podcast where I explain the difference between all the different types of supplements that have aminos. And I didn't always used to take this type of stuff, and it's not required or necessary for you to do so either. But if you're interested in that, I'm taking it because I'm over 40 and we just don't absorb the aminos from our protein-rich foods as easily as we age, meaning we need a little bit more to do the same amount as before. So it's essential that you're getting a solid serving of protein into each meal that you eat throughout the day to help support your brain function, your ability to build and support your muscle tissue, your hormone and enzyme function. All of these things need amino acids. So that's just one of the reasons I'm using the supplement. When you're ready, come back to your sumo squat position.
Those of you watching us live, just let us know you're watching us live. We've got some good questions coming in as well. But all right.
Sumo. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to have time to check in after this is over, after the workout is over. I can't wait to answer your questions and talk to you guys more. So sumo squat position, toes duck out slightly. We've got a nice wide foot stance. Shoulders are back and down. We're sending our hips back and then driving up. Remember what we said before? We can think about pressing the earth away from us. Keep that core braced. This is going to help support a very important core muscle, your transverse abdominis muscle, which acts like a body's natural weight belt and keeps your pelvis very stable and secure so that you're not inadvertently rocking your knees the wrong way as you come down and up and you're loading the weight, right? We want to stay very safe. We want to protect our bodies here. Count your reps. Maybe you went up a little bit in resistance because you were like, oh, I feel good. I could do 12. Maybe I'll try to do 10 this time. You can always increase the amount of resistance, see where you're at. I'd like for you to be able to do 8, but somewhere between 8 and 12 would be a great place to start. When you get to the top of your rep range, you're going to set your weighted objects aside. Always, always, always being mindful of your form as you set things down and pick things up. The last thing that you need is to get injured putting the groceries in the trunk of your car because you didn't train yourself every time to be safe with the way you use your body. So we're always thinking about that when we're moving stuff around to help give our bodies that sort of reminder. Back pull row, this is our second round. If you were able to do somewhere in that 8 to 12 rep range, the first set, perfect. If you want to challenge yourself a little further this set, be my guest. And once you've selected your weight choice, we're going to stand tall, roll those shoulders back and down into their sockets. No need to rush here. Give yourself a little more of a breather as needed. We're going to hinge at the waist, coming into a 45-degree bend with a straight back, and then we'll draw those elbows back, working the muscles between your shoulder blades. So we're hitting the rhomboids here, the traps Both of these important muscles that help keep your body upright are very supportive for your posture. Probably hitting a little bit of your rear delt, that back shoulder muscle. And I'm not rushing this either, right? And I'm not jerking the weights. So sometimes if the weights are a little too heavy, you'll get a little sloppy, right? And sometimes you'll have compensation happening. Don't be afraid to recheck in with your form at any point. We're about quality here over quantity. That's the thing. Great job. Keep breathing. And when you get to the top of your rep range, safely set down your weighted objects. Quick breather. I'm going to do a reverse lunges, round 2. And I'll give you some more fun ways to build on the reverse lunge. Check in with yourself. Where'd you leave off last time? Was it heavy enough? Did you feel challenged enough? Or did you feel supported enough? Remember, you can hold on and hold a single dumbbell or a single weighted object as you work on your lunge form. It is really important to do single side stuff as we age to help us with balance, to help our joints take the load, right? That's going to help you walk upstairs, do all kinds of important jobs with your body. So it's very functional, and it also gives you a nice sculpted physique. So stand tall, shoulders back and down. You can have the weights on your shoulders or at your sides, and we're going to step it back and step it forward. Nice. Beautiful form over there, Magdalena. Looking great. See how she's got a nice straight back, keeping her shoulders back and down. That's beautiful. You guys are doing great too. Keep up the awesome work. And remember why you're here. Remember why you're training. I know that one of the hardest things for me sometimes when I'm not feeling motivated is this. I need to just reconnect with why I'm spending time taking care of myself. And a big thing for me is thinking about my body in my 80s and how I'd like to be autonomous in my life and have the ability to do many things that I would like to do. And one of the best ways I can ensure that is by maintaining my fitness level and staying strong and capable and being intentional with my workouts. It's not just perimenopause why I'm having you be so balanced with your training approach. It's also that I don't want you to get injured, right? And without the warming up and without the cooling down in this life stage, it is easier to get injured. It is easier if you're not paying attention to the balance in your training. We're going to do another set of biceps curls. How are you guys feeling? Hope you're feeling great. You're kicking butt. Take a look at how much resistance you want to use this set. Do you want to up it? Do you want to stay the same? And once you've decided, you can go ahead and pick up your weighted objects, step to the center of your mat. What do we do first? Well, we get our shoulders back and down in their sockets. And we're not like forcing our weight back, right? We've got a nice straight up and down body. We're just gently pulling those shoulders back. Go ahead and bring your palms forward. Elbows stay in close to your sides as you curl up and lower down. And remember, you got tricks. If you need to make your weights feel a little heavier, try those eccentric contractions. If you're doing fine, just repping them out, do that. Count your reps and really be, honest with yourself about what is the top of your rep range. You want it to be like, ooh, it's really hard to go past this. Some people will call it failure. That just seems so negative. And also, your body's not failing. You just get to the top of your rep range. You're just like, I can't do anymore with good form. And that's really where I'd like you to stop. Okay. So the trick with the weights and the calibration is just that you're finding what weight makes it really hard for you to go past my suggested top point. And as you get stronger and you progress, and maybe you're getting up into barbells for some of your moves, that's where you might want to explore doing 6 to 10 rep ranges, 5 to 8 rep ranges, 4 to 6 rep ranges. But those are things to build into. And I would recommend, if I were your trainer, that you do that slowly and safely. You don't get a better result by jumping to that right off the bat, just like we don't get a better result by doing more workouts. We want to have a really mindful approach because your body takes time to respond.
I want to mention one thing. We're going to do a warm down now, right? A little cool off.
We can. I was going to do one last round, but we can totally pull it.
You know what? We just kind of like running because we had a late start.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's cool it down. That was great. And you guys can always repeat those. You can repeat the video anytime, I think, right? That's great.
Okay, we're gonna. There's questions coming in about that. Yes, it's gonna be recorded and posted.
Awesome. We're gonna do a quick 3-minute cool down now. Thank you, Magdalena, for keeping us on time. Thank you guys for being here. So go ahead and join me down on the mat. Knees down below your hips, hands below your shoulders. And it's going to look similar in some ways to what we did in the beginning, but we're going to go a little slower. So lift your hips up, coming into that down dog position, and breathe in and out. Once the body's warm, we're going to go a little slower as we actually stretch things. In the beginning, we do a dynamic, faster movement. In the end, we do slower movement. Step that left foot to the outside of your left hand. Drop your back right knee down. You've been here before, but this time we're going to sort of hang out in this position. Lift up onto your fingertips as you lift through your chest and feel that stretch through your right quad. Nice. You got this. Go ahead and lower back down onto your right palm and circle your left arm back behind you, looking over your left shoulder. And just hang out here as you feel that stretch through your back, as you feel that stretch even more through your quad. You might even feel a little bit in your right abs. And you're going to circle that left arm back to the center, putting it back to the inside of your left foot. Curl your right toe under, lift back up into downward facing dog. Again, really lift those hips up, sink those heels down. A couple nice deep breaths here. Enjoy it. Step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Drop that back left knee down. Lift up onto your fingertips. Look up, lift your chest up. Feel that stretch through your left quad this time. Nice work. Lower down onto your left hand as you circle your right arm back behind you, looking over your right shoulder. Breathe in and out of that. Circle that right hand back to the inside of your right foot. Curl your back left toe under. Step it back to downward facing dog. We're going to stretch out those glutes and open up the hips. So take your left knee and bring it behind your left wrist. Slide your right leg out behind you as far as it's comfortable. And you can stay upright here with your torso, or of course, feel free to lower all the way down onto your elbows or even all the way down onto your forehead, whatever is in your practice for this pigeon stretch. I love this stretch. It's great for opening up that hip joint, but be very mindful and gentle. A stretch, you should take it to where it feels good, right? Like a good hurt even, but never a pain. Should never be painful. Let's go ahead and curl that back right toe under, helping to lift us back into down dog once more. Feeling that nice stretch through our back and shoulders. We're going to take that right knee and bring it behind our right wrist this time, sliding the left leg out behind us. Feel free to stay up, lifting through your chest, or you can come all the way down onto your forearms or all the way down onto your forehead. Beautiful. Couple breaths here, and then walk your hands back below your shoulders. And let's come back into tabletop and sit back onto your heels, sweeping your arms up in front of you in a circle. And as they come back, bend your elbows, open your chest, and then straighten those arms out, trailing your fingertips down behind you, and then up one more time in front of you, and then back in that sort of cactus arm all the way back. As you come down, bring your palms down towards the ground, and then come back up in front of you one last time. Chest is open. We cactus arms, the arms back, open the arms up, and done. You did awesome, you guys. You did awesome, Magdalena. Thanks for joining me.
This was great. Oh,
quick little afternoon delight.
Totally. That's why I love doing my workouts in the afternoon, so I don't have to rely on another cup of caffeine to pick me up. This is a fantastic pick me up. For those of you guys who are going to be joining for the program, one of the cool things is that the program has these sheets.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to show behind the scenes at all? I've got it pulled up in my browser.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. And this is mine. So I've just been filling it up and tracking things for the past few months. And it's just been so helpful to see you know, like, I'll be honest with you, like yesterday I did a workout and I felt weaker than before. And I'm like, it's just what it is. You know, I didn't get too much sleep the past 2 nights for whatever reason. And I can feel it. And so it was like, okay, I just gotta get back off and that's fine. But it was interesting to see how much more I was able to do when I'm in top shape.
Yeah, you're doing great. And my Instagram is the Betty Rocker. Maybe we take some questions first and then show them the program. I think that's
let's do that. So
Yeah.
for those of you who are joining us a little bit later, and I know some of you are in and out, is we are talking about doing a workout for specifically that's been designed for women in perimenopause that I've been doing for the past 3 months, and menopause, and for women in postmenopause. The whole idea is to slow down, exercise differently, take breaks, combining cardio with some strength training. That is a much better option for women in perimenopause and menopause, and I can certainly feel that on myself. So we've got a link. Where do we have the link, Jen, for folks to join the program? We'll post that in the comments and also in the banner. If we can get the banner up, Jen, that would be great. So yeah, so that's, I highly recommend you guys, because you can piece things together on YouTube or whatever channels, but it's the it's the consistency, right, of checking in with the program, ticking things off as you're progressing, keeping track of things, having things figured out for you by a woman who's also going through perimenopause. I feel like I found that extremely helpful. I did before workouts of like a man and a woman, and I'm like, the guy's leading, and I'm thinking, he's not me. He doesn't know what it means to be going through perimenopause. And so the other cool thing is, which she was going to show you in a second, as you can see, my house, I actually have my gym in my house, and there's just one part of the weights. I have more on the side you can't see on camera. And it's like, for me to go to the gym, I know it's not going to happen. For some women, that's necessary, and that's your choice, and you know yourself what you are like. For some women, it's like, I'm gonna go to the gym, commit to a gym, and that's when I'm gonna work out. For other women, like for me, it's a waste of time. I live up in the mountains. It takes me half an hour to drive up and down in the Colorado winter. I don't want to do that, so I set up my own.
I think I should show them how it's set up with like the 3 different options. Let me show them real quick.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let me show. Let's see. Share screen. Share screen.
And for those of you asking, the name of the program is Perimenopause.
So this is one example of.
Hold on. I need to change the layout to. Oh, it's to add to stage. Oh, there we go. Now we can see it.
So here you are inside one of the workouts for Perimenopause, and you get your warm up. And of course, I've made these separate because I know some days you're just really busy and you might want to use the first set of your workout as your warm up. So I get it. You can skip it if you have to. Don't recommend it, but it's separate. You've also got your Tabata, which is your cardio blast here. And again, this is what we were talking about during the workout. If you have a day where you have lower energy, you don't have to do the cardio piece. Here's what I was wanting to share with you guys. If you are at home with no workout equipment, you can do the body weight video. If you are at home like Magdalena and I were today with our dumbbells or just our weighted objects, you could do the home equipment video. If you have more gym equipment, barbells, and that type of stuff, you can follow along with this video. And every single day, there's all 3 of these options. Plus, there's a quick cool down stretch for you as well. That's typically about 3 minutes long. So you have all of those great options in this program, and it really does, I feel like, help you progress. And you can see how it's laid out with self-care days built right in, yoga, all of that kind of stuff. And you can mark each day off as complete as you go.
That's the most satisfying thing I find. It's like marking things off.
Absolutely. And then, you've got a cookbook and eating guide where we talk a lot about the same principles that Magdalena has probably shared with you. My recipes feature an optimal amount of protein, as well as a lot of fiber. And one thing I think I teach you really well in the cookbooks as you're using the recipes is how to take any recipe that you have and just adapt it for yourself in an ideal way in perimenopause. And usually, if say a recipe calls for 8 ounces of tempeh, if you're a vegetarian, or a pound of chicken, it's pretty easy usually to just increase the protein in a recipe and get that extra protein boost that you may need for yourself. So it's just optimal. So you can read more about that in the cookbook and eating guide. There's an essentials guide where I talk you through a lot of the things we touched on in today's class and more. So you have it all at your fingertips.
This is
And
like,
Magdalena,
this is a live class, like, because
yeah.
what you learn here, it's like personal trainers are not even trained in this stuff, just FYI. Like if you go to a gym, to a regular training, 90% of them are just not trained on how to work with women in perimenopause and menopause. So the stuff that you are learning from Brie is stuff that you take that forever with you, because you're probably going to have this kind of form of exercise for the rest of your life. You're not going to go back to running marathons, for most women at least, right? So super. This is like, I see this as a life lesson. Like,
thanks for that.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you. I mean, and we've got the workout trackers like Magdalena showed you. She printed hers out. Also, there's going to be some people who prefer a different schedule. I made you a totally different schedule, which would enable you to use the program a second time. I figured, why not? It looks like fun. You can also look at all of your program videos in one place. This section is actually really important. And it's a great, like, at a glance, quick place to go and see. Did my screen switch? Nope, didn't switch.
We can still see you.
I'll stay right here. You good? Can you see the FAQs and tips now?
Yep.
This will show you really quick things like how to customize your workouts. A lot of really important information about like why we're sensitive to stress, supplement suggestions. Here's where you'll find your friend Magdalena and all of her amazing supplements, and a lot of other really important things that you may already know some of these things, but putting it together with a training program and healthy eating, I think is really important. And because it's not just about one thing in perimenopause, right? It's about multiple things that we do together that sort of add up to giving us those great results, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to work out and that's going to give me all my results. We have to surround the workouts with recovery, with the right nutrient building blocks, with getting a little more proactive about building stress resilience, quite frankly, maybe using some supplements or some hormone replacement therapy, whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah. What would you say about that, Magdalena?
Well, I'll say let's take some questions, because there's quite a number of them came in, and I want to make sure that we honor the time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Asking, yes, we are recording this, and it's going to get posted on all the social media. If you're on our mailing list, we'll mail out the link as well. All right, one of the questions came in is these workouts safe for anyone with osteoporosis?
Yeah, I mean, with osteoporosis, and one thing I didn't talk about much with this today because we're doing a workout, walking more is going to be really great for supporting your bone density, but resistance training is one of those things that is incredibly supportive for your bone density. You may want to I show low impact options in all of the high intensity cardio workouts. You may want to start out a little bit slower there. You might want to see how you feel. And I would start more with the low impact stuff and the resistance training, but you want to really think about stimulating your body in that way. Yeah. And also not overtraining. I think this would be an ideal, as long as your doctor agrees, I think this would be a much more ideal type of training for you than, say, going hard 5 days a week and trying to do a lot of spin classes or a lot of hard cardio stuff. Like, this will be a lot better for you.
There's an incredible amount of research that shows the strength training is the choice exercise of choice for women to prevent osteoporosis, osteopenia, but then also with care to be done for osteoporosis. All right, the next one we have is a little bit more, anyway, the question is, what is an exercise for toning inner thighs?
So I know that that's a really common conception, right? It was like, how can we spot train? Because I think what I hear when you say toning is body composition, right? You want to see tighter, leaner body, like less body fat, probably like more strength or tightness there. So if we're talking about body fat, we can't spot reduce fat. This is one of the reasons this type of training is so important, because as we build our lean muscle, we become more metabolically active. We become more efficient fat burners. We burn more calories at rest. So the sumo squat that we did today helps to strengthen the inner thighs big time. You're using the inner thigh muscles in connection with your quads and your hamstrings as you're doing any type of lunges and squats in general. And there are a lot of like specific moves, but really I would say I'd focus more on overall balance. And I think you're really hoping to lose body fat. A lot of women don't lose body fat in the inner thighs and hips until later on. So if you're starting to lose, this is why I'm like, look at your whole body as you're building your strength.
Don't, I mean, it's sorry to say, but it's very sort of passe. That's what we grow up with, right? Of like, if you have body fat, you do crunches. doesn't work that way. And then
Right.
women are frustrated that they're not losing. So one other thing I just want to add to this, one thing that helps tremendously with changing the composition from fat to muscle is also DHEA. So if your testosterone is dropping, you're doing these exercises, right, with Peri and with us. One thing to consider at some point, especially if you're showing symptoms of low testosterone, is consider doing DHEA. It's a bioidentical hormone that can be very transformative, not only the composition of the body, but also strength, which is so complementary to what we're showing here. All right,
Yeah, and isn't DHEA a precursor to some of our sex hormones anyway? I mean, I've been taking it for several years on my doctor's recommendation, and I think it's really helpful. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Just be careful for those of you with breast cancer, because it does convert to estrogen as well. So you need to be cautious there and work with somebody who understands the nuance of hormones. All right, next one is, what equipment would you recommend for home?
Oh, great question. If you're doing home workout training, I'd get some dumbbells. And if you're like, well, I don't know what amounts to get, I would write down some of the common exercises. You could even write down the ones that we just did today. Go to a store that carries those pieces of equipment and try them out if you possibly can, because it's so subjective. A lot of people ask me, well, Betty Rocker, how much was she using in the lunge? And I'd love to share. I don't have a problem sharing, but it's just not the same, because my 8 to 12 reps and your 8 to 12 reps are both going to be the same amount of reps, but we're both going to use a different amount of resistance, right?
I want to hear also one thing, for those of you who maybe have limited space at home, there are also dumbbells that are adjustable, like this one here. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 different settings. And so they can be a little bit clunky, but it saves you space, like especially if you are in a small apartment, you don't have a space for setting up a gym. I love those. And I also have one that is a kettlebell that also adjusts to 7 different settings. So this is like the highest one. Great for sumo squats for a strong woman. And so that's also another nice option. And then also a bench, would you say?
I think that you don't need a bench if you're at home. If you have a chair, we use a chair. You could use a step in your house. You could use an ottoman from your living room. Anytime I'm training in my living room, that's all I have. I have my dumbbells and I have my couch, the side of my couch typically. It might be nice to have a stretchy band.
Yes.
You might like to have a mini band. These are all things that you can accumulate. Typically, I'm always showing options for you. And because you'll have, in my program at least, you'll have all 3 variations of each workout. If you're like, you don't have the right thing today, you can just do what I do in the workout that doesn't have that. And you'll be just fine. I always encourage you to just like not overbuy stuff in the beginning, like take it ease into it and then get stuff as you get stuff. I do see a question. The next question looks like I'd like to address this if I can. It's about, if you've been training for years, will this be helpful if you're already advanced? And it may be that you may have asked that before I showed the back end of the program. Did you see that there is a weight training option? Yes, I would say it is. Would be great for you if you're advanced. And there are also numerous opportunities in the program to make the program even harder for yourself. I tell you about that in the printable trackers, and I also tell you about that in the FAQs. And typically what it's going to be is you're just going to go heavier with your resistance. You're going to go lower in your rep ranges. And what's nice is the video is long enough where you can follow along with me, even if I'm doing 8 to 12 reps and you're doing 6 to 8, for instance, because that's a better fit for where you're at with yourself. You'll just have the company, and you'll need more recovery if you're pushing that hard. So it'll all work out just perfectly. So that was a great question.
There's another good one, because that's a common problem. What about, what do you recommend for lower back ache, especially when lifting something heavier off the floor and after lifting a small suitcase?
I'm definitely the right person to ask that question of. Now, a lot of the times this lower back pain may be coming from poor form with the way that you are lifting in general. And I would highly just recommend that you do my free Foundations of Functional Fitness program, where we go through each of the different functional movements. We work on your form. I help you really dial all of that in for yourself, because it may be that you either have a shift in your pelvis that hasn't been diagnosed for years. It could be that you are just not using your body in an optimal aligned pattern. It may also be, and this is very common as we age, we just need some hands-on support. I see a physical therapist every 6 to 8 weeks personally, just to help myself stay aligned. I've had old car accidents and injuries that sort of pop up with my movement patterns. This is stuff to take seriously. One thing that you can do in the immediate is think about the cues that I gave you in the sumo squats. What did we talk about? Bracing the core, bending the knees, keeping the shoulders back, right? All of those things will help you protect your back. I don't know if they will take away your back pain. That may be something you need to get somebody to help you address. However, those are some quick things that you can do to help you. And then moving forward, really make sure your form is good. You do not need to have pain while you're exercising. And if you do not load more weight on top of yourself.
Yeah. Great. And I think you are just the best person to explain all of this. I just want to add, for those of you who know my story, I actually had lower back problems since I was 15 years old. Used to sleep on the floor thinking that's going to go away. My source was all in the hips. So that's one pointer. Another one, which is fascinating, is a lot of people discover as they fix their gut digestion and gut health, they realize that back pain then starts going away. So, so there's a couple of things that, like a typical, a lot of even physical therapists, miss that often too. So all right, let's do one more question before we wrap up. And that's going to be somebody asking, well, two, is there a lot of flexions in the program, and is it safe for endometriosis?
I don't understand what it means about flexion.
I think it's just flexing.
I don't know we've got flexion, extension. Here's flexion, here's extension.
I don't know.
Is that what it meant? Does she mean stretching?
Yeah,
hopefully, I think like showing the behind the scenes shows that there's a warm up and cool down for every workout. There's yoga. There's like a 20 to 23 minute yoga class once a week. There's a mobility class every week for you as well. So there's a ton of self-care built in, which really will give you a better result in the long run if you are doing these self-care practices. Because think about it. If you get injured, you're going to have a setback and you can't keep working out at that point, and you're going to lose some of what you've gained. So self-care is the name of the game. All the stuff that would have benefited you in your younger years that maybe you got away with and didn't do, you have to dial it in now. This is the time. And it only gets more important as we hit those postmenopausal years as well. So hopefully I answered your question. And if not, feel free to follow up with me about that.
Yeah.
And I don't know the question about endometriosis, if it would be appropriate. I would pass that to you, Magdalena.
Yeah, there's no reason why you wouldn't. The only thing is that when you do have an endometrial flare-up, you definitely want to back off. I'm sure you know that. And by the way, endometriosis is completely treatable. You're talking about estrogen dominance and an inflammatory response is actually an autoimmune condition combined in one. There is more and more resources these days. But like one of my books, if you get Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, I have a whole chapter about reversing endometriosis. And so somebody's just posting about osteoporosis. I'm getting confused here. Endometriosis, right? So totally doable with the right diet change, supplementation. When you're having a flare up, you need to either back off or do something very, very gently until it goes away. But totally treatable. Really important to know that.
Well, those are just awesome questions. I actually have to get going here in a minute. I'm so sorry.
Yes. Oh, good. Thank you, sir. Everybody who showed up to the live. It just shows that you care about this stuff and you care about your health and you're here to improve it. At least you're curious on how to do it. For those of you who are going to be joining the program, the link is in the ticker tape. And Jen, if we can put them in the comments as well, as basically bit.ly/perimenopause. That's the URL. And we'll hope to see you guys there. And otherwise, I will see you there in my videos on any other day. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Peri, for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's such a treat to meet all of you guys. I hope to see you, and hope I get to train with you at some point.